The first road trip begins in Cape Town, South Africa. We first enjoy a ride on the Chapman's Peak Drive to the world-famous Cape of Good Hope. On the Cape Peninsula, a huge penguin colony awaits at the Golden Boulders Beach, as well as some nice colorful wooden houses off Muizenberg Beach. Then we continue our trip through the green landscapes of South Africa's Garden Route between Mossel Bay and Port Elizabeth. Along this route there are several nature parks and diverse Mediterranean landscapes to admire. Especially recommended, in the Nature's Valley, beautiful hiking trails lead to untouched beaches. After almost 900 kilometers, we arrive in Port Elizabeth, where we can either end or continue our road trip. Alternatively, we can also drive back to Cape Town via a bit more remote northern roads in order to close the circle. This roadmap is filled with many national parks, gardens and other natural wonders. Small tourist villages, beaches and a lot of epic sea views are not denied to us either. We should invest 2 to 3 weeks for this road trip. The best travel time is October to March. The next road trip is Iceland's Ring Road. It takes us around the entire island and has a length of about 1,300 kilometers. It lets us marvel at bizarre landscapes that make us almost feel like being on another planet. We will also experience the Thingvellir National Park, north to Reykjavik and the fjord landscape around Akureyri. Furthermore, we will pass waterfalls, hot springs, volcanic systems, lava fields and this canyon here. Of course, this road trip on Iceland can't hold a candle to the South African road trip in terms of biodiversity, but we can enjoy geologically unique natural wonders here. Unless you are after the dark, freezing Icelandic winter, the best time to travel is between May and September. The next road trip I had the chance to experience for myself, namely the more than 2,200 kilometers trip from Los Angeles via Highway number 1 to San Francisco, to Oregon and Washington up to Vancouver, Canada. On the route we not only see a great variety of Mediterranean California nature, but also pass small touristic villages like Santa Barbara, Monterey or Santa Cruz. We drive through the Silicon Valley to San Francisco in Northern California, via Eugene and Portland, the capital of Oregon, to Seattle, the capital of Washington, up to the metropolis of Vancouver. Especially in Northern California and Oregon, there are some long, straight, monotone highways, but you notice how the climate and nature changes from south to north. And of course, there are also many national and state parks waiting for you to visit. We can easily spend 3 weeks on this trip in case we want to spend a few days in the respective cities. The next almost 2,000 kilometer long road trip takes us through the Fjords of Norway. From the Norwegian capital Oslo, we can drive through the south of the country via Kristiansand to Stavanger. From there we can visit Preikestolen to admire these stone formations. The Trollstigen Pass, epic mountain ranges, countless lakes and idyllic villages are on the way. The road trip does not get boring thanks to the number of bridges, ferries and tunnels. In the north, we come to Kristiansund, to Trondheim, a city with more than 180,000 inhabitants, and via roads that lead through untouched forests back to the capital of Oslo. Of course, we can also drive further up to the North Cape instead. We can easily invest 2 weeks for these roughly 2,000 kilometers. For Alps enthusiasts, a road trip from Geneva via Lausanne through Valais to Lugano in the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland would be an option. From there we can drive to Lake Garda via the metropolis of Milano in order to get to South Tyrol. We can then drive through the Swiss Alps to the idyllic city of Lucerne, from there to internationally known Interlaken, via the Bernese Oberland to the Swiss capital Bern, and from there back to the French-speaking part of Switzerland to Geneva in order to close the circle. On these 1,325 kilometers, we will be able to experience many different cultural influences. namely the French-speaking part of Switzerland, the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland, the German part of it, northern Italy and South Tyrol. We can also see enough epic mountain ranges in the Alps on the journey and can also visit various nature parks. So in case you want to enjoy a culturally diverse road trip, you might like this option. As I said, Interlaken is also on this tour, for which I have already published a separate video. Interlaken and Lauterbrunnen are visited by tourists from all over the world. There are picturesque mountain ridges as well as Lake Thun and Lake Brienz awaiting your visit. A crazy and maybe a bit too ambitious road trip would be the following. We start from the Uruguayan capital Montevideo, drive to Colonia del Sacramento, seeing the many Uruguayan farms along the way, take the ferry from there to Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, followed by a drive to Rosario, Argentina's third largest city, Cordoba, Argentina's second largest city, and Mendoza, Argentina's fourth largest city, all with a population between 900,000 and 1.4 million. On this trip, we will see the endless Argentinian farms. We will have to bite our way through them. But the vegetation changes because from Mendoza we can drive to the Chilean capital Santiago de Chile, right through the Andes. In Chile, we can then admire the entire diversity of this country thanks to the large north-south extension. The further south we go, the more fertile the land becomes. We can drive to Puerto Montt and enjoy a diverse landscape with plantations, many lakes, hilly landscapes and small towns. Of course, we can also drive further down to Patagonia or visit the Andes. With a length of more than 3,000 kilometers, we can certainly invest 2 months for this trip, especially because we visit 3 capitals and other cities with millions of inhabitants on the way. Of course, there are many other unique road trips, for instance across Japan, or from Adelaide via Melbourne, Canberra, Sydney to Brisbane, the northern and southern islands of New Zealand, a trip through all of the countries on the Balkan Peninsula, a 9,000 kilometer mega trip through Siberia's untouched nature, or a trip around the Italian peninsula. If there is some interest in these videos, I will make another video in which I will present these trips in more detail. If you know an interesting route, then please let me know in the comments.